Let me show you how you can have a 22-second conversation. Timer, 22 seconds. Go. Hey, Bryan, it's Albert. Listen.
Did you call him back?
What's the answer?
Yes.
You said, I have no idea where Jonathan's body was found, correct?
That's correct.
You just spoken with Bryan Albert.
He knows it. He knows what he's done. He can't hide it. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Buckle Up, It's the Law. Today we are going to do episode 8 of Brian Higgins' cross-examination by none other than Alan Jackson in the Karen Reed murder trial from May of 2025. Folks, today you're not going to believe what you're going to hear. You're going to see antics I have not seen in a courtroom in a very long time. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Acknowledge that there's a 22-second phone call in your phone records, correct?
That's what's reflected by the record.
And 22 seconds is quite an amount of time. Would you agree?
It's 22 seconds.
As a matter of fact, it's about this long, with the court's permission.
The court does not give permission. That's argument, Mr. Jackson.
If we were to count off 22 seconds, that's an uncomfortably long time, is it not?
No,
It's long enough to have a conversation, isn't it?
I didn't have a conversation.
Is 22 seconds long enough to have a conversation?
No.
Yes.
A human being can't have a conversation in 22 seconds?
Sure they could. I don't think it's anything of substance.
Okay, so that's my question. Is it 22 seconds long enough to have a conversation?
I don't agree with it, no.
Now, when you were asked about this, and you were shown these records, that prior hearing, you had an explanation for what that 22-second call may have been, and what the prior call may have been, correct?
Yes.
What was your explanation?
Well, I used a phrase that people commonly used as a butt dial.
Is it just me, or people in Canton just rampant with butt dials? Like, there's a butt dial from Jennifer McCabe, Matthew McCabe, Bryan Albert, and now Brian Higgins. They all just butt dial each other over and over. Let me show you, by the way, how you can have a 22-second conversation. You guys ready? Here, let me time it. Let me set the clock. Timer, 22 seconds. Go. Hey, Bryan, it's Albert. Listen, he's there. Everything okay? Well, I don't know. He's still moving, but we're going to see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be okay. You think it's going to be okay? Have the authorities been alerted? No, as far as we know, everything is good. All right, well, listen, man, we're going to hop off here, or we're good, yeah? Everything is good. I'm watching the news, nothing on the news. All right, buddy, I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye. "22-second conversation.
You think it's possible that you may have butt dialed Bryan Albert for a 22-second call that you're not aware of?
I think it's possible that he could have been inadvertently called back, but I have no recollection of that, nor did I have any conversation with anybody.
But you admitted that you lived alone, correct, Mr. Higgins?
That's correct.
You have an iPhone at the time.
Yes.
Matter of fact, that number for reflecting those records is in fact, or was in fact, an iPhone. Is that right?
Yes.
You already indicated under oath that you don't sleep with your iPhone. You keep it on your bedside table. Is that right?
Most often, yes.
There's nobody else in your room. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you had your ringer on because you were awakened the next morning by a call from Chief Berkowitz, right?
Yes, the ringer was on.
When somebody calls you and you miss the call, there's a notification that shows up on that iPhone. Isn't that right?
I don't know how mine's set up at the time. I don't know.
If you open up your phone
please.
app and you go to recents, it shows all the missed calls, correct?
I think you can get to them, yes.
And you know that the iPhone does not automatically call people back. That is not a thing, right? You miss a call from someone, it's not just going to automatically re-ring them.
Yes, I think we both know that, yes.
So to call somebody back, you have to go on your iPhone, open it up from a locked position, navigate to a phone application, then navigate to a contact, and then make a call, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. You can break it down.
Sure.
It's a low compound. I'll give him that.
In order to call somebody back, if you've missed a call, you first have to unlock your iPhone.
You would have to, yes.
You can do that either through Face ID or through a 4 or 6 digit passcode, right?
Yes.
don't tell me the code, but did you have a 4 or a 6-digit passcode locking your iPhone at the time?
I don't know if it was a digit code or Face ID.
Well, if you have a Face ID, you have to have a digit code as well, right?
I guess so.
Okay. Did you open your phone with your Face ID or a multi-digit code?
I have no recollection of answering the phone or calling anybody back.
You also have to navigate, once the phone is unlocked, you have to navigate to the phone app, correct?
This is what an expert criminal defense lawyer does. The witness says, I just butt dialed. Okay, moving on to the next question. No. You butt dialed. Okay. In order to make a phone call, you need to, and then you break it down step by step. You have to unlock your phone. How do you unlock it? Face? Does your butt have a face? Does your face look like your butt? Well, maybe in this case, that's an exception. But does your phone have a passcode? Maybe. Okay, so you have to type in the passcode to unlock it before you make the call. Then you have to open the phone app. Then you have to dial the number. Then you have to hit. So your butt is like, while you're sleeping, your butt is performing, 52 actions in order to get to the actual connection of the call with the other person on the other line.
I don't know necessarily if you unlocked it with your face, if it would be right there. I have never thought about it.
Once you unlock that phone app, you have to manipulate the phone on the
I've never thought about it. So the answers I already prepared in my head to these types of questions, I actually didn't think about these questions. That's good lawyer work, catching the witness off guard.
screen with your finger in order to make a call, correct?
You would have to hit at least one button, I guess.
At least one, right?
Yes.
So that's 3 or 4 interactions with the phone that have to be physically undertaken to just make one call, right?
But I didn't make any calls.
So how'd you butt dial?
I didn't make any calls. I have no recollection of any calls, nor did I speak with anybody.
Bald-faced lie.
After you were shown these phone records at that prior hearing, in that hearing at least, you finally admitted that you did in fact call Bryan Albert back, but this time you claimed the two of you just sort of sat in silence. Isn't that right?
Objection.
So I'm going to sustain it in that form. You can ask it appropriately, Mr. Jackson.
Did you ever
Because this form is a little too inflammatory for me and I don't like it. Make it nicer. What does that even mean?
previously testify that you did in fact make the call, but you did not have a conversation during the course of the call?
What I think I testified was something must have happened, but I didn't have any phone call.
Do you remember being asked, quote, did you call him back, end quote, and you answered, yes. And then there was a question.
There was a series of questions there. That's only a fragment of what I said.
I'm not done yet, Mr. Higgins. Can you answer my question?
Yes.
To the question, did you call him back, your answer was yes, correct?
I think it was kind of I must have.
Then you were asked, well, the answer was yes, and then there was a colloquy back and forth where you spoke over each other's words, right?
There was dialogue back and forth about this whole thing, yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
May I?
Yes.
You see the pink highlighted question and the pink highlighted answer.
Yes.
What's the question? Please read it for me.
Did you call him back?
What's the answer?
Yes.
Thank you. May I approach?
Yes.
You then said a little bit further in that same conversation, I did not have a conversation, correct?
I did not have a conversation with anybody.
And the question following that was, you just listened to the phone, what someone was telling you? Answer, it's possible that the phone picked up on the other end and nobody said anything, and then I terminated the call, end quote. That's what you said.
So which one is the lie?
Under oath, correct? Yes or no?
Can I see it?
Sure.
Yeah, here you go. Are you lying now or were you lying then?
You have that in mind, sir?
No. Can I have a minute, please?
Does that refresh your recollection about how you answered that question?
Yes.
And your answer was, it's possible that the phone picked up on the other end and nobody said anything, and then I terminated the call. That's the only thing.
Meaning it's possible it could have happened.
It's possible it could have happened that you had a 22-second call with Bryan Albert,
I
correct?
did not have a 22-second call with Bryan Albert. There was no conversation.
You've had some time to think about this 2:22 a.m. call, correct? Since that last testimony.
Some time to think about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it, no.
So for over a year, you haven't even considered the fact that you were caught with a phone record lying about not having a conversation with Bryan Albert at 2:22 in the morning.
Objection.
Jury heard it. Doesn't need
Mr.
an
Higgins,
answer.
what was so important that you and Bryan Albert needed to discuss something at 2:22 in the morning?
There was no discussion. I never talked to Bryan Albert.
Then why the 22-second phone call, sir?
Objection.
Sustained.
I want to talk about what you did after you woke up on January.
Sorry, I just have to say that was masterful. That was absolutely brilliant. When you know that a witness is not responding, you just keep prodding. When you finally get that objection, you move on. But you never know. They may accidentally give themselves away either by mannerisms, by the way that they're speaking, body language, by their words. I mean, Allie McCabe, which by the way, I also plan on covering her cross-examination on this channel. I think it's worth covering because I did get a chance to see it live, but I think you guys are in for a treat. When we actually get to that portion, ooh, oh yeah, Allie McCabe has almost gave up the whole kitchen sink of her family, and I'm sure she was in trouble for that.
January 29th, 2022. That was obviously a memorable day in your mind, correct?
It was a sad day.
The very first person you spoke to after waking up was who?
Well, I believe I said I got the call from Chief Berkowitz.
That's not my question.
Say that again?
Who's the first person you spoke to on the phone that morning when you woke up?
Bryan Albert.
Whose idea was it for you to drive to Bryan Albert's house that morning?
It was my idea.
Was it important to you to speak with Bryan Albert in person rather than over text or phone call?
No, it was important to support the people that were there.
So, of course, you drove over to his house. You had an opportunity to speak to him in person without any law enforcement presence, correct?
I was there with everybody, not just Bryan Albert.
And Bryan Albert was in the house and you were in the house, right?
That's correct.
So you had access to him and others without any law enforcement there. Is that right?
That's correct.
As soon as you got off the phone with Bryan Albert that morning, who did you call? At 7:22 a.m., if you recall.
I think I might have called Chief Berkowitz back.
So as soon as you got off the phone with Bryan Albert, first thing in the morning, the next call you made was to Chief Berkowitz. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yes, because he had called me first. Yes, I called him back.
Did you request from Chief Berkowitz any information that he may have had concerning the investigation surrounding John O'Keefe being found at 34 Fairview that morning?
No.
Were you trying to see how much law enforcement knew right away?
Absolutely. I didn't even know what happened.
Were you trying to gather information about what happened so that you would know what happened?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
What you were trying to do?
No, Your Honor.
What did Chief Berkowitz tell you about his knowledge of John O'Keefe's body being found just after 6 a.m.?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you had been with John O'Keefe and you were at the crime scene the night before?
Objection.
Sustained. You can ask that differently.
Did you inform Chief Berkowitz that you had been with John O'Keefe the night before?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, that's normal.
I believe I may have told him at some point that I saw John at the waterfall.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you had been at 34 Fairview?
I believe I did.
Did you tell him that your vehicle was parked just feet away from where John's body was discovered?
No, because I didn't know where he was discovered.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you and Bryan Albert had had a call at 2:22 in the morning?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you had been...
I love Brian Higgins' little frustrated, looking down because he's shameful. He's admitting shame. He's really, really upset at this whole situation, and it's bothering him. But he knows it. He knows what he's done. He can't hide it.
flirting with John O'Keefe's girlfriend in the weeks prior to his death?
No.
Did you ever tell Chief Berkowitz about the nature of your interest in Miss Reed?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you had seen Mr. O'Keefe and Miss Reed the night before, and that Miss Reed had ignored you?
Objection.
Sustained. You can break that down, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may have just a moment. You indicated just a second ago that when I asked, did you tell Chief Berkowitz that your Jeep was parked just feet away from where John O'Keefe's body was found, you said, I have no idea where John O'Keefe's body was found, correct?
That's correct.
You just spoken with Bryan Albert, right?
He said in front of the house.
All he said was, John O'Keefe was found in front of the house. He didn't say, right outside on my front lawn.
I believe he said he was found out in front of his house unresponsive.
Okay. If he was out in front of his house, then you would know, because your Jeep was also parked out in front of his house, that your Jeep would just be feet away from him, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you tell Chief Berkowitz that you had texted John O'Keefe to have him come over to 34 Fairview just hours before he was discovered dead in the yard?
No.
Did you think any of that was important when talking to the Chief of Police of the Canton Police Department?
I'll let him have it.
I'll let him have it.
No, I didn't. There was no reason to tell him.
You've been an investigator for some 15 years, and you were a firefighter for years before that, correct?
Yes.
You're very familiar with some of the tools that are used in conducting modern investigations, correct?
Yes.
You'd agree that searching electronic devices and phones is an incredibly important investigative tool that modern investigators use, correct?
Objection.
In that form, I'll sustain it.
Are you aware that searching electronic devices is an important part of investigations?
Objection.
Are you aware of that, sir? Do you agree with that?
I've utilized phone data during the course of my investigations at times, yes.
Okay, so another way to put that is, obviously, phone data and electronic data is an important part of investigation. Right?
Objection.
Sustained.
What time do you believe you got to Bryan Albert's house that morning after you received the phone calls and woke up? What time did you make your way back over to Bryan Albert's house?
Maybe around 7:15 in that area.
Was there any law enforcement presence there when you arrived?
I can't recall specifically. There could have been one police car. I'm not positive.
Did any officer ever ask you to take a look at your vehicle?
At what time?
That time? But actually at any time?
No, to my knowledge, nobody from law enforcement associated with the investigation had ever asked to take a look at my vehicle.
So they certainly didn't ask that day, correct? On the 20...
What I'm saying is, to my knowledge, nobody has ever asked me that.
Right. So that's my point. I'm just trying to break it down.
You want to tell me every instance when somebody could have asked me?
Correct.
Okay.
On the 29th, where you asked whether or not your vehicle could be searched.
Searched or inspected? What do you mean?
Either one.
Well, I would consider a search the inside of the vehicle more so than the outside. I would consider the outside more of an inspection. I would have been happy to show them it.
I'm sure you would have. I'm asking, did they ask?
No,
They didn't ask to search it, they didn't ask to inspect it.
no.
When you met with troopers, who was it that you met with on the 3rd of February?
Trooper Proctor and Trooper Buchanan.
Did either Trooper Proctor or Trooper Buchanan ask to inspect your vehicle, otherwise search it?
Not to my recollection.
And to this day, nobody from Massachusetts State Police has ever indicated that they want to inspect your vehicle.
No.
All right, folks, we are going to stop it right there. God, I told you, it's just lie after lie after lie. The continuation of this bold face. I don't know how you keep a straight face. Honestly, I have no idea how you keep a straight face doing that. But hey, I'm not here to judge. I'm here to crucify. So hopefully in this second trial, we are going to see Bryan Higgins bury himself. I'm really looking forward to that. So folks, I thank you all for joining me for part 7. We're going to continue this with part 8. I'll see you there. Bye, everybody.